The morning air outside Redwood Middle School buzzed with laughter and chatter, but Officer Mia Jensen's grip tightened slightly on Rex's leash. She scanned the courtyard, where kids in hoodies and sneakers shuffled past each other, backpacks slung low, oblivious to the world around them. A gust of wind rustled the flag above the main entrance, and Rex, her German Shepherd K9 partner, lifted his head, nostrils flaring. "Something bothering you already, big guy?" Mia murmured, her voice low and even. Rex didn't bark. He never did unless it mattered. Today wasn't a normal school patrol. She'd been invited as part of a community outreach event, a friendly K9 demo day meant to show off Rex's scent detection and obedience. The kind of PR stunt the department liked to push after a rough news cycle. But from the moment they stepped onto campus, Rex had gone from alert to laser-focused. Principal Boyd, a graying man with a stiff smile and clipboard permanently attached to his hand, welcomed Mia with the usual pleasantries. "Officer Jensen, always a pleasure. Kids love seeing Rex. Keeps them in line, too." "Appreciate the invite, sir," Mia replied, eyes still on Rex, who had started to tug, not hard, but deliberate, toward the rear wing of the school. Boyd caught the motion. "That's the old maintenance wing. We don't use it much anymore. HVAC stuff. Been sealed off since last year." "Rex thinks otherwise," Mia said, tightening her grip. "Probably a raccoon. We've had a few back there," Boyd said quickly. But Mia heard something brittle in his voice. Not fear, discomfort. As she nodded politely and joined the gathered students in the gym for the demonstration, her gut told her something was off. Rex, ever the professional, performed flawlessly. Obedience, scent detection drills, even a crowd-pleasing find the hidden toy exercise. But his eyes kept drifting back toward that locked wing, and when Mia signaled the end of the session and started toward her cruiser, Rex refused to follow. He planted his paws, tail rigid, gaze locked on a rusted side gate leading behind the school. "All right," she whispered, unclipping his lead. "Show me." Rex moved with purpose, not running, stalking, every muscle primed, every step calculated. They reached the side of the building, where a corroded security grate covered a secondary entrance. Rex whined once, then scratched the door twice with sharp precision. Mia crouched down, checked the lock. It wasn't locked. That alone made her breath catch. Every school perimeter entry was supposed to be secured. She radioed dispatch but paused before transmitting. A split-second instinct made her put the radio down. She pushed the door open. The air inside smelled stale, like dust and mildew, except layered beneath was something acrid and wrong. Ammonia? Bleach? Rex tensed. He didn't move further, just looked at her, waiting for her to decide. The hallway beyond was dim, with flickering overhead lights and stacked supply crates. Old-school furniture, boxes of textbooks, janitorial carts. Nothing overtly threatening. But it was dead quiet. Mia moved slowly, hand on her sidearm, while Rex prowled ahead. He sniffed along the baseboards, paused at a vent, then bolted toward a door marked E103. His bark cracked through the stillness. One bark, sharp, urgent. She reached the door, twisted the handle, locked. Rex began scratching again, then suddenly stepped back. He let out a low growl that rumbled like distant thunder. That's when she noticed it. Faint. So faint you'd miss it unless you were looking. A child's pink shoelace, snagged in the hinge of the door. Mia's breath turned cold. Her mind jumped back to the missing persons bulletin from earlier that week. Emily Carter, age 13. Last seen walking to school 2 days ago. No witnesses, no leads. The school had brushed it off as a runaway. Rex hadn't. Mia reached for her radio. "Dispatch, this is Unit 7. I need backup at Redwood Middle School. Possible lead on 1057 Juvenile. I'm in the East Maintenance Wing. Access through side gate near utility shed. Static. Then a broken response. Copy that. You're not supposed... Stand by. The signal died. Mia cursed under her breath. She turned to leave, but Rex suddenly lunged toward a set of lockers nearby, slamming his body into them with force. One locker shifted slightly. She rushed over, and to her shock, the entire unit wobbled. It wasn't bolted to the wall. It was hiding something. Together they moved it aside, revealing a hidden panel, painted over to blend with the wall. A keypad sat embedded in the drywall. "Rex, what the hell is this place?" She whispered. Before she could try anything else, the sound of footsteps echoed from behind. Heavy, confident, not a student. Mia drew her weapon and spun, but the hallway was empty. Rex growled again, low and steady. Someone had been watching them. She backed out slowly, pulling the locker unit back in place, eyes scanning the corridor. She would come back, and she wouldn't come alone. As she and Rex returned to the exit, her mind was racing. If Emily had been here, how long? And why hadn't anyone reported hearing or seeing anything? By the time they reached her cruiser, Mia looked at Rex and whispered, "We just opened something we weren't supposed to." Rex simply stared back, ears up, like he knew. Whatever secret this school was hiding, it wasn't done with them yet. Back in her cruiser, Mia sat in the driver's seat but didn't start the engine. Rex sat beside her, still alert, ears perked and eyes scanning the quiet parking lot as if expecting someone to emerge from the shadows. The shoelace was in a sealed evidence bag on the dashboard, its pink fabric stark against the grey interior. That little scrap wasn't just fabric. It was a scream no one had heard until Rex did. Mia grabbed her phone and dialed. "Sergeant Holbrook, voicemail." She tried again. Dispatch this time. Nothing but static. A creeping realization dawned on her. Someone was jamming the signal. She leaned toward Rex. "All right, buddy, we're on our own." The adrenaline had dulled, but her gut still burned. This wasn't a runaway. This wasn't a misunderstanding. And this school wasn't clean. She reached into her glove box and pulled out a slim black device, a portable hard drive, plugged it into her cruiser's onboard laptop, and opened a secure offline note. Case file, Emily Carter, possible confinement site, Redwood Middle East Wing, confirmed by K9, Rex. She hesitated, then typed one more line. Subject under watch, possible internal collusion. The moment she hit save, there was a sharp rap on her window. She turned fast. Principal Boyd. He forced a smile, but his eyes flicked to the evidence bag. "Sorry to startle you. Thought you'd left." "I was just wrapping up some notes," Mia said, voice cool. School staff usually don't wander out this far unless they're looking for something. His smile faltered. "You seemed a little focused earlier. I just wanted to make sure everything was all right." She nodded once, slowly. "Can I ask how many keys there are to the E-Wing?" "Only 2? Mine and facilities." He didn't hesitate. Facilities being janitor's office. "Mr. Kramer, he's off today." "Of course he is," Mia said, studying his face. She knew how to read people. Body language didn't lie. The sweat along his temple, the slight flinch at the mention of that wing, he was holding something back. Boyd cleared his throat. "I'd prefer it if you coordinated any further. Investigation, through the district liaison." "That's not how this works," Mia said, standing tall beside the cruiser. "If I have reason to believe a minor is being held on school property, I don't wait for permission." Boyd's jaw twitched. "Officer Jensen, I respect your dedication, but don't let a PR visit spiral into something it's not." Mia stepped closer. "You didn't even ask why I had a pink shoelace in an evidence bag." He blinked. "I assumed you found something." number Rex did, in a sealed, supposedly unused part of your school. Boyd's composure cracked for a split second, and that was all Mia needed. She got back in the cruiser. "Have a nice day, Principal." She drove off, but not far. A block away, she parked in a residential cul-de-sac and waited. 5 minutes later, her patience paid off. Boyd exited the building and walked not toward his car, but to the rear of the school, toward the east wing. He glanced over his shoulder twice. Mia tapped the dash. "Let's tail him." Rex shifted, ready. They looped around quietly, windows cracked, and watched as Boyd disappeared behind the gate. She waited 2 minutes, then crept up on foot, Rex padding beside her in perfect silence. The door was closed, but she caught a flicker of light inside. Rex sniffed once, then nudged her hand. "Go." She pushed the door open just enough to peek inside. Boyd was there, but he wasn't alone. Another man stood with him, a maintenance uniform, tall, scruffy beard, arms crossed. "Mr. Kramer." Their voices echoed down the corridor. "You said it was handled." Boyd snapped. "It was, but someone moved her again, probably the guy paying us." Mia's heart stopped. Moved her? Her instincts screamed. She needed this recorded. She reached into her jacket for her phone. A soft chirp sounded as it began recording. Then Rex stiffened. Footsteps, behind them. She spun, gun drawn, and found herself face to face with a teenage girl. Pale, shaken, eyes wide, dirty clothes, tangled hair. Emily Carter. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Rex stepped between Mia and the girl, then slowly backed off, tail wagging once. Emily whispered, "He brought me back here, but I escaped." Mia grabbed her arm gently. "You're safe now, I promise, but it was too late for stealth." Inside, Boyd's voice had stopped. A door slammed, and then came the sounds of running. Mia dragged Emily behind a dumpster as Boyd and Kramer burst out the door. They didn't see them, just dashed for the parking lot. Cowards on the run. Mia didn't chase. She called it in again, but still no response. "Radio's dead. They killed comms." She muttered. She looked at Rex. He didn't need instructions. He bolted, and in the distance there was the sound of a tackle, then a scream. Mia rushed out with Emily and found Kramer on the ground, face down, Rex gripping his sleeve but not biting. Boyd had tripped, hands up, mouth stammering apologies. Emily froze. Her hands shook. "That's the man. He watched them lock me in." Boyd looked like he'd been hit with ice water. Mia cuffed them both without a word. Emily clung to Rex like a lifeline. And for the first time that day, Mia felt the weight in her chest ease. Just a little. Rex stood tall, eyes still scanning, ears twitching. This wasn't over, but it was a start. By the time backup arrived, the sun was dipping low, casting a golden haze across the brick walls of Redwood Middle. Patrol cars pulled up one by one, and the parking lot turned into a swirl of flashing lights, murmured radios, and guarded eyes. Mia stood off to the side, arms crossed, watching as the paramedics checked on Emily. Rex sat at her feet, his head high, gaze constantly shifting like a soldier who didn't know how to stand down. Emily hadn't spoken much since they brought her out. She clung to Rex as if he were the only thing tethering her to reality. When Mia tried to ask questions, the girl just shook her head. Silent, traumatized, but safe. Sergeant Holbrook finally emerged from his SUV, face tight with confusion and disbelief. "Mia," he said, pulling her aside, "you mind telling me what the hell happened?" She handed him the pink shoelace, then the audio recording from her phone. He listened, eyebrows slowly rising. When he was done, he looked at her like he didn't quite know who he was talking to. "You knew this before calling it in?" "I tried," Mia said, voice flat. "Comms were jammed. Someone didn't want this story getting out." Holbrook nodded, then rubbed a hand down his face. Jesus, I always thought Boyd was a stiff, not a creep. It's bigger than Boyd. Kramer mentioned someone else, someone paying them to keep Emily hidden. Holbrook turned to watch as officers led the two men into separate cruisers. Boyd looked utterly defeated. Kramer was scowling like he'd been cheated. What do you think it is? He asked. Trafficking? I don't think she was meant to be found, Mia said. That's the scary part. Holbrook glanced over at Emily again, now being wrapped in a thermal blanket. What's she saying? Not much. But she trusts Rex. That might be our way in. Later that night, back at the station, Mia reviewed the footage from the school's east wing. Someone had tampered with the internal cameras, looped footage, time-stamped gaps, exactly like you'd see in a spy movie. It was clean, professional. Too professional for a janitor and a principal acting on their own. She narrowed her eyes at the paused footage. A blurry shape at the far edge of the hallway, near the hidden utility door. A man in a baseball cap, sunglasses and a visitor badge. Zoom, enhance, too pixelated. She checked the logs. No visitors listed that day. Someone was in the building who didn't belong, and they had access. Privileged access. Her phone vibrated, a text from a blocked number. You should have left her in the dark. Below it, an image, her cruiser parked outside her apartment. From above, drone shot. She stared at the screen, pulse pounding. Whoever this was, they weren't just threatening her, they were watching her. She showed Holbrook the message. We'll trace it, he said immediately. Run it through digital forensics. I already tried. It bounced through 3 foreign servers before hitting the States. Someone knows what they're doing. That night, she took Emily home with her. CPS hadn't arranged a placement yet, and Mia didn't want her in some sterile room with a social worker who wouldn't understand. Her apartment was small but clean, quiet, safe. Emily barely touched her dinner. She curled up on Mia's couch with Rex beside her, like a living wall. He didn't sleep. Neither did Mia. Around 2 a.m., Emily finally spoke. I wasn't the first. Mia turned slowly. What do you mean? They brought others before me. I could hear them, crying. Then silence. Mia felt her chest tighten. How long were you there? I don't know. They drugged me sometimes. Said it was for anxiety, but it made me sleep too much. She paused, then added, There was a symbol on the ceiling of the room, like a bird. With a number, Mia's pulse skipped. A bird? Emily nodded. An eagle, but with one wing torn. Mia stood and grabbed her tablet. She searched internal law enforcement databases for known trafficking symbols or gang tattoos. Then she found it. An eagle with one wing torn, known to be used by a rogue paramilitary contractor from the early 2000s, shut down after being linked to human rights abuses overseas, supposedly dismantled. But what if they just went private? She glanced at Rex, who sat beside Emily, gaze locked on the window. They weren't dealing with local creeps. They were dealing with professionals. And someone was still out there, watching, waiting. Rex growled low in his throat. Lights flickered outside the apartment. Mia reached for her weapon. Her heart didn't pound. It thudded, steady and cold. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. The next morning, Mia drove Emily to a trauma specialist in a quiet, private clinic 2 towns over. Rex sat alert in the back of the cruiser, eyes trained on the road ahead, as if he understood the gravity of every mile they passed. The roads were wet from a morning rain, and the sky hung low like it was holding back something heavier. Emily barely spoke on the way, but she kept her hand resting on Rex's back. She didn't flinch when a siren wailed in the distance, didn't hide her face like she had the day before. Small steps. Mia took note of them all. At the clinic, Dr. Lacey Morgan greeted them at the door. She was warm, early 40s, with calm eyes and a tone that didn't talk down to Emily. Rex stayed by Emily's side the entire session, lying down but ever watchful. He had that uncanny sense of emotional temperature, shifting closer when Emily hesitated, staying back when she needed space. Not once did he act like a dog on duty. He acted like a partner. Back at the precinct, Holbrook had news. "You're not going to like this," he said, sliding a printed image across her desk. It was the blurry figure from the security footage, cleaned up and enhanced. The visitor badge was visible now, at least part of it, enough for facial recognition to do its thing. Mia stared at the name. Mason Caldwell. The same Mason Caldwell who had retired from a federal intelligence contractor after a classified scandal involving black site operations. Why the hell would Caldwell be in a middle school? She muttered. Holbrook leaned in. That's the thing. He's not just retired, he's disappeared. Off-grid for 5 years. Mia's mind raced. So now he resurfaces at Redwood Middle, days before a missing girl turns up in a sealed room, drugged, monitored, and terrified. Holbrook crossed his arms. We tried contacting DHS. Their response? No comment. And CIA claims he's not affiliated. So who does he work for now? Or who is protecting him? Holbrook added quietly. Later that day, Mia returned to her apartment to find her front door slightly ajar. She froze, drew her Glock. Rex stepped forward first, ears high, muscles taut. No sound. She gave a quick hand signal. Rex moved like a ghost through the living room. Mia followed close, sweeping the corners. The place was untouched, but something was off. Too clean. Almost staged. Then she saw it. Her laptop was open, the screen lit up. A single file sat on the desktop. For her eyes only. She clicked it. A short video played. Static. Then a view from what looked like a basement lab. Cinderblock walls. Fluorescent lights overhead. A child sat in the corner. Not Emily. Another girl. Her face bruised, shoulders trembling. Then a distorted voice spoke from off-screen. This is bigger than you think, Officer Callahan. Back off, or this one disappears too. The screen cut to black. Mia felt her hands shake for the first time in years. She closed the laptop and picked up her phone. Holbrook, they just escalated. Where are you? At my place. They were in here, left a message. Another kid is in danger. I'm putting a unit outside your apartment. No, Mia said. That's exactly what they want. Cops out front will make me a target. I need to move quietly. You planning to disappear? I'm planning to find out where that lab is before they ghost another girl. After hanging up, she turned to Rex. He was already staring at her, tail still, waiting. We're in this now, she said softly. No going back. She pulled out the photo of the symbol Emily described, the torn wing eagle, and scanned it with a dark web image matcher. Dozens of hits came up, mostly conspiracy threads, but one led to a private contractor database, a forum once used by whistleblowers. She clicked through. Someone had posted about an abandoned facility out near Logan Pass. Used to be a school for troubled teens, shuttered after rumors of abuse, bought in cash 2 years ago by a shell corporation. She traced the registration, a blind trust connected to a former defense official. Bingo. Mia packed a go bag. She didn't tell anyone. Not Holbrook, not the department. She left a note on her fridge. If I don't come back, find Caldwell. Then she and Rex hit the road. They drove through the night, empty highways, the occasional truck stop. Rex remained calm, sensing the shift in atmosphere. They reached the outskirts of Logan Pass by dawn. The facility looked dead. Weeds grew high around the perimeter fence. A rusted school sign barely clung to its frame. West Haven Youth Center. Mia parked a quarter mile away, using binoculars to scan the grounds. No guards, No movement. Too quiet. Rex shifted in the back seat. His nose lifted slightly, then he let out a low, vibrating growl. He smelled something. Mia knew better than to doubt him. She checked her weapon, secured her vest, and opened the door. "Let's go, boy." They crept through the tree line, ducking between brush, until they reached the back of the facility. A loading dock had been welded shut, but there was a crawl-space vent just wide enough for Rex. She pointed to it. "You first." He ducked in without hesitation. Seconds later, a thump. Then a bark, short, sharp. The signal was clear to enter. Mia slid in behind him, adrenaline rising. What they were about to find inside would make everything at Redwood look like a warm-up act. The moment Mia and Rex stepped inside the facility, a wave of damp, musty air hit them. The floor beneath was cracked concrete, lined with faded tiles that once belonged to classrooms or hallways now swallowed by shadows. The overhead fluorescent lights flickered sporadically, enough to cast a strobe-like glow that played tricks on her eyes. Rex paused, ears perked, his body taut like a spring about to snap. "Which way?" Mia whispered, crouching beside him. Rex sniffed the air and turned sharply left, nose low to the ground. Mia followed, stepping around debris and broken chairs. Her gun was drawn, finger resting near the trigger guard, nerves raw but focused. She trusted Rex more than any partner she'd ever had. They reached a corridor that curved slightly down. Rusted lockers lined both sides. On one, scratched into the metal, were the words, "Silence is safe." Mia took a photo, then pressed on. As they moved deeper, Rex suddenly stopped. His head jerked to the right, toward a large wooden door marked Maintenance. He growled. Mia reached for the doorknob, but Rex stepped in front of her. "Wait, what is it?" she asked, voice low. Rex sniffed once more, then barked twice, his signal for danger. A second later, Mia heard it. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, just beyond the door. Then, silence. She motioned Rex to the side, took cover against the wall, and waited. The door burst open. A man in tactical black stormed through, suppressed weapon raised, sweeping left. He never saw Rex coming. The German Shepherd launched, jaws locking onto the man's arm. The rifle clattered to the floor as the man screamed, slamming against the lockers. Mia surged forward, elbowed the attacker in the ribs, then swept his legs out from under him. She pressed her knee to his chest and yanked off his mask. Not Caldwell. He was younger. Early 30s, military-grade gear. No ID. "Who sent you?" Mia snapped. He smiled through bloody teeth. "Too late. They're cleaning it now." Mia's stomach sank. She zip-tied his wrists and shoved a rag in his mouth before locking him in the maintenance room. Then she looked at Rex, who was already pacing. "Let's move." They sprinted down the stairs to the lower level. There, behind a rusted emergency door, was the heart of the operation. And it was worse than Mia had imagined. A wide room buzzed with fluorescent lights, the walls lined with makeshift hospital cots, most empty. Monitors blinked. Some showed vitals, others displayed feeds from hidden cameras. One girl sat alone in the far corner. She was maybe 9, blonde, bruised, an IV line taped to her arm. Rex didn't bark. He whined softly and walked toward her, slow and low. Mia followed and knelt beside the girl. "Hey, it's okay," she said gently. "My name's Mia. This is Rex. We're here to help." The girl flinched at first, but didn't run. Her eyes locked on Rex, then on Mia. She nodded slowly. "What's your name?" "Lila," she whispered. "Are you real?" Mia smiled, but her eyes were hot. Very real. Then the screen behind them blinked, showing a live feed of themselves. Someone was watching. Mia grabbed the nearest computer and started scanning files. Dozens of video logs, each labeled by date and location, all referencing schools across the state. Medical notes, behavior studies, doses. They weren't just abducting kids, they were experimenting. Suddenly, Rex growled again. Mia turned and saw a second man in the doorway. This one was tall, older, and carried himself with calm authority. Mason Caldwell. He raised his hands, not holding a weapon. "I figured you'd find us eventually," he said. Mia raised her gun. "Hands where I can see them." Caldwell didn't flinch. "You're late, Officer Callahan. The others are already gone." "You were running human experiments in a school." "Number, we were saving them." Mia blinked. "What?" Caldwell gestured around. "These children were tagged for high-risk behaviors, violence, self-harm. We intervened before society threw them away." "That's not your call." "No," he said. "It was yours. But you turned away, so we stepped in. You drugged them, locked them in rooms. That's not intervention, that's trafficking." His eyes flicked to Rex. "And yet your dog led you right here. Interesting." Mia's finger tightened on the trigger. "You have no idea what's coming, officer." Caldwell added, "This was the pilot. Where are the rest?" He gave her a small, chilling smile. "Ask your captain." Mia's blood ran cold. "You're lying." "I'm many things, but not that." Rex suddenly lunged forward, snarling. Caldwell didn't move. A flashbang exploded in the hallway. Mia dove over Lila, shielding her as the room erupted in white light and deafening sound. Rex barked wildly, disoriented but still on his feet. When Mia looked up, Caldwell was gone. So were the hard drives. Mia scooped Lila into her arms and ran. They burst into daylight, racing toward the tree line as another blast ripped through the building. The facility went up in flames. By the time they reached the cruiser, everything was smoke and sirens. Holbrook arrived minutes later with a federal escort. Too many of them. Too fast. Mia didn't hand over the files she had copied. Not yet. Not until she knew who she could trust. As they drove away, Lila fell asleep curled next to Rex in the back seat. Rex watched her the entire time. Not just a protector. A witness. And Mia knew, deep in her gut, this wasn't the end. This was just the part where the shadows finally noticed she was looking. The station was quieter than usual when Mia returned. Lila had been taken into protective custody by a trusted social worker Mia knew personally. Someone outside the department. Rex, still alert, hadn't left her side. He paced the perimeter of the building before they entered, his instincts humming like static in the air. Inside, Captain Holbrook stood by the coffee machine, casually stirring his cup. He looked up and smiled like nothing had happened. "You're back early." Mia didn't return the smile. "We found her. Lila." His eyebrows rose, but not in surprise. "Is that right? And we found Caldwell." "At an abandoned facility below that charter school. He said you knew." Holbrook's hand paused mid-stir. "Did he?" he said slowly, then tossed the stirrer in the trash and took a sip. "You got it on body cam?" "Number, the blast knocked it offline, but I got copies of the files, video, notes, all of it." His eyes darkened for a flicker of a second. "Just long enough." "You sure that's safe to keep, Callahan?" "I'm sure it's safer than trusting the wrong people." Silence settled between them. Rex growled, low and steady. Holbrook glanced down. "You might want to get that dog under control." Mia's tone sharpened. "He senses threat, always has." Before Holbrook could reply, Lieutenant Chambers burst through the door. She looked flustered, holding a tablet. "Captain," she said breathlessly, "you need to see this." He took the tablet and stared, his jaw clenched. Then he turned the screen toward Mia. A grainy video had leaked online. One of the lab rooms. A girl screaming as a man in a lab coat prepped a syringe. The timestamp matched the facility they had raided. "Who leaked it?" Holbrook asked. Mia held his gaze. "You think I did?" "I think you need to be very careful with what you're doing." Rex suddenly barked sharply and lunged toward the hallway. Mia spun. A shadow darted past the frosted glass panels, then a crash from the back exit. Without waiting, Mia bolted after it, Rex right beside her. They tore through the hallway and burst into the alley behind the station. A black SUV peeled away, tires screeching. Mia memorized the plate. She pulled out her phone and called her contact at the FBI, Agent Keely Voss. "Talk," Keely said. "We've got a problem. Internal, maybe higher." "Names?" "Captain Holbrook. Possibly compromised. We raided a facility, uncovered experimental abuse on kids. Files went missing. Caldwell escaped." "Send me everything you have. And Mia, don't trust anyone." As she hung up, her phone buzzed with a message. An address. Unmarked, just a string of numbers and a location. Edgewater, 45 minutes north. It was sent from an anonymous number. She showed it to Rex. "What do you think?" Rex sniffed the air and whined, staring in the direction of the main road. "Yeah," Mia muttered. "I don't like it either." But she went anyway. The drive was silent. The sunset lit the sky in blood-orange streaks, casting long shadows over the fields as they neared the location. It was an old hunting cabin, tucked deep in the woods. No cars outside, no power lines, just stillness. Mia parked a quarter-mile out and approached on foot, Rex at her side. As they reached the door, Rex stopped and growled, his body rigid. Mia placed a hand on the knob. Then it opened from the inside. Standing there was Caldwell. He was calm, unarmed. Behind him stood someone Mia hadn't expected to see. Sergeant Dana Reed, retired, supposedly. Mia blinked. You've been dead for 2 years." Dana smirked. "That's what they wanted everyone to think." "You're with Caldwell." "Number I've been watching him, watching all of them. You're in way over your head, Mia. But that's why I sent you the address." "You sent the leak." Dana nodded. "It was time. You and Rex. You've got instincts no one else has. They should have trusted you instead of burying you under paperwork." Caldwell stepped forward. "I told you she'd follow the trail." Mia raised her weapon. "Try anything, and I'll let Rex rip your throat out." Caldwell chuckled. "You won't need to. I'm not your enemy." Mia laughed bitterly. "Could have fooled me." "There's a deeper layer, officer. The project wasn't mine. I was the cleanup guy. You think I burned the files because I'm scared. Number, I'm trying to keep them from getting into worse hands." "Worse than you?" she snapped. Dana interjected. "He's telling the truth. The operation is being hijacked by private contractors. They're taking the research and monetizing it, selling trauma response data, behavioral triggers. They're using kids as test beds." Mia's voice cracked. "Why come to me now?" "Because," Dana said, "you have the files. And we need them, before someone else gets to you." Rex barked once. Mia turned. A red dot shined briefly across the trees, then vanished. A sniper. She dove, dragging Rex down, just as the bullet sliced through the air and shattered the cabin window. Caldwell was hit. He slumped, blood pooling from his shoulder. Mia dragged him behind cover. "We need to move, now," she growled. Dana threw open the hidden cellar hatch. "This way." As they descended into darkness, Mia clutched the drive tighter in her jacket pocket. Above them, the woods came alive with movement. But underground, something even more dangerous waited. A name etched into the stone wall. Project Echo. Rex growled low and long. And Mia realized, this wasn't just a rescue, it was a war. And it had already started. The darkness in the underground tunnel was absolute, thick and suffocating. The musty air clung to Mia's throat as she led the way. Flashlight. bouncing off stone walls carved decades ago. Behind her, Rex moved silently but alert, every muscle in his body tuned to the threat they couldn't yet see. Dana helped Caldwell hobble along, his bleeding shoulder bound with a torn piece of cloth. "You said this place was off-grid," Mia whispered. Dana's voice echoed low. "It was, until someone sold the access map." "Who?" "Someone inside the project. We still don't know who, but they weren't working alone." Rex suddenly stopped and growled, deep and sharp. "Movement ahead," Mia whispered, raising her weapon. From the shadows, a faint humming emerged, then a flicker of blue light. Unnatural, clinical. Mia stepped forward and the corridor opened into a wide chamber. Lining the walls were rows of medical equipment, monitors, IV bags, high-end neuroimaging tech. At the center stood a chamber, glass and steel, coffin-like. Inside it was a child, a girl, no older than 10. Eyes shut, tubes running into her arms. She looked eerily peaceful. Mia's stomach twisted. "Who is she?" Dana swallowed hard. "One of the originals, from the early days of Project Echo. She's not just asleep. She's been under induced neural suppression. They were mapping her brain's response to controlled trauma stimuli. She's been here for 5 years." Rex let out a low whimper, pressing his head against Mia's side. Mia gritted her teeth. "We're pulling her out. Now!" Caldwell slumped against the wall. "Not yet. There are others. Deeper in." "No." Mia's voice shook. "We're not leaving anyone, but we need extraction." Dana pulled out a satellite phone. "It won't connect here. We have to reach the surface, but there's a relay node about a quarter-mile in, through the tech lab." Rex moved ahead, tail stiff, nose twitching. As they followed, the walls changed, no longer stone, but metal and wires. Cameras blinked red overhead. The power wasn't fully down. Mia's radio crackled. "Officer Callahan, come in." She froze. "Dispatch?" But it wasn't dispatch. "I know you're in the tunnels. You've made a mistake. The files belong to us. Hand them over and we'll let you all walk out." Rex growled. Loud. Dana's eyes widened. "They've tapped into the emergency band." Caldwell's breathing hitched. "It's Harper. Dr. Lena Harper. She ran the second phase of Echo. She's the one who pivoted to monetization. She's the reason the program turned dark." Another voice cut in. "You always were a rat, Caldwell. And you, Callahan, you're just a beat cop playing hero. Turn around. You're in my house now." Mia shut off the radio. "She's bluffing." Then the lights flickered on, and the hallway doors locked shut with a metallic clang. "Backup plan?" Mia asked. Dana pulled a device from his belt. "EMP pulse. Should knock the locks out for 90 seconds. Mia nodded. "Do it, Rex. Stay close." The blast hit with a dull hum. Sparks flew from nearby panels. The door clicked open, and they sprinted through into the lab. What they saw stopped them cold. 3 more children, strapped to chairs, monitors feeding live data into massive servers. One boy looked up. His eyes were wide, pupils dilated from sedation. He whispered something. "Help!" Mia and Dana rushed to free them. Caldwell stood watch, barely able to hold his weight. Rex ran to the far end of the room and barked furiously. Mia turned. A steel wall panel was sliding open. A woman stepped out, tall, late 40s, lab coat pristine. Her expression was cold calculation. Dr. Lena Harper. "Well, well," she said smoothly. "The infamous Rex, and the cop with a hero complex." Mia aimed her weapon. "This ends now." Lena smirked. "Oh, it ended the moment you entered my system. The moment you took Lila, you made yourself expendable. And now, so is your dog." She raised a remote. But before she could press the trigger, Rex lunged. He tackled her to the ground, snarling, knocking the device from her hand. Mia was on her in a second, cuffing her while Rex stood over her, chest heaving, teeth bared. "You underestimated the wrong German shepherd," Mia hissed. Alarms blared. Dana shouted, "We've got 10 minutes before backup arrives, and not the kind we want." Mia handed Dana the files. "Get these kids out. I'll hold them off." Rex stood beside her, unwavering. Caldwell stepped up, wounded but resolute. "You're not doing this alone." As they prepped for extraction, Lena screamed from the floor. "You think you're saving them? You have no idea what you've unleashed. Echo isn't a program. It's a contagion." Rex growled again. Mia didn't flinch. Outside, the tunnel lights dimmed, then died. Something else was coming, and Mia knew Lena's words weren't a threat. They were a warning. The sirens outside the facility had shifted pitch, longer, deeper, echoing like a funeral bell. Inside the tunnel, red emergency lights bathed the walls in a sinister hue, shadows stretching and morphing with every flicker. Mia crouched near the tunnel mouth, gripping her weapon. Rex pressed to her side. The kids had been evacuated to the surface moments earlier, with Dana guiding them through an access hatch. Caldwell, pale and drenched in sweat, leaned against the wall behind them, reloading with shaky hands. From the chamber behind them, Lena Harper's laughter echoed, eerily calm. "You really think it ends with me?" She called out from the floor, blood seeping from her split lip. "Project Echo is self-sustaining. You didn't kill it. You fed it." Rex growled low, his fur bristling. Mia didn't respond. Her eyes were locked on the corridor ahead, where muffled footsteps began to echo, uniform synchronized. Not police. "Contact inbound," Caldwell muttered. "We've got company." Mia reached for the comm unit. "Dana, status?" Static. Then finally, "Blocked! They've got jammers up top! I'm trying to punch through!" The footsteps grew louder. Rex moved ahead, tail stiff, head low. He froze, then snapped his gaze to a ventilation grate along the wall. Mia turned just as it burst open. A masked man lunged, blade in hand. Before she could aim, Rex launched. The two figures crashed to the ground in a violent heap. Snarling, ripping, the German shepherd didn't hesitate. In seconds, the attacker was down, the blade skittering across the floor. Mia kicked it away and pressed her foot on the man's throat. "Who sent you?" He didn't answer, just stared at her, with pupils unnaturally dilated. Drugged, or conditioned. Then Mia noticed the patch on his jacket, subtle, barely stitched in black thread. An infinity symbol twisted into a double helix. Not government, not military, private. More footsteps now, multiple angles. "We need to move," Caldwell warned. "We're boxed in." Mia turned to Rex. "Find us a way out." Without hesitation, Rex darted back toward the tech lab. Mia and Caldwell followed, dragging Lena with them. The glass pods were empty now, their previous occupants safe, but the equipment still glowed, alive with data. Screens were scrolling too fast to read. Rex stopped at the far wall and barked once, loud, clear. Behind a shelving unit was another panel, smaller, unmarked. "Ventilation shaft?" Mia asked. Caldwell squinted. "Number secondary data chute. If it's still functional, it leads to the surface servers. Probably not meant for people." Mia pulled the panel. A dark steel tunnel greeted her, no wider than her shoulders. Lena scoffed. "You'll never fit all of us through there. We only need to get the files out." Mia said. She handed Caldwell a flash drive. "You go. Rex will guide you." "I'm not leaving you down here." "You will if you want this to mean anything." Caldwell locked eyes with her, then with Rex. He nodded, climbed in, and Rex followed, tail brushing the edge of the chute before disappearing. Mia turned to Lena. "You're done. But I need to know, what was your endgame?" Lena tilted her head, blood on her teeth. "You still don't get it. This isn't about control. It's about evolution. We weren't building weapons, we were testing survivors. Those were children. They were adaptable. Mia's fist connected with Lena's jaw, dropping her cold. She didn't have time for a moral debate. Another explosion rocked the hall behind her. A chunk of ceiling collapsed, sealing the tech lab. Dust poured from the vents. Mia grabbed the radio again. "Rex, report." No response. She ran to the panel and opened it. Smoke was pouring from the chute. Her heart seized. "Rex." But then, soft padding. And out came Rex, covered in dust, dragging a torn jacket in his mouth. Caldwell was behind him, coughing but intact, flash drive still clutched in his hand. Mia dropped to her knees and hugged Rex, burying her face in his fur. "Good boy," she whispered, voice breaking. The roof groaned above them. Caldwell looked up. "We've got to go now." As they exited through a cracked utility tunnel, daylight peeked through the slats. But so did the flash of a drone overhead. A voice from a loudspeaker rang out. "This is a restricted zone. Surrender immediately." Mia stepped forward, badge raised. "Officer Mia Callahan, Metro PD. We have miners rescued from an illegal operation and need emergency evac." There was silence. Then the drone shifted, hovered, and slowly turned away. A second later, Dana's voice came back on the comm. "I've got eyes on you. We're 5 minutes out. But Mia, someone else is watching. This goes deeper than Echo." Mia looked at Rex, who sat tall beside her, eyes sharp, unwavering. She nodded once. "Let them watch. We're not done yet." The press conference was supposed to bring closure. Rows of flashing cameras lined the hall of the city municipal building, reporters stacked shoulder to shoulder behind velvet ropes, their voices rising over each other in a cacophony of urgent questions. Mia stood at the podium, flanked by Chief Rowland and an exhausted but determined Dana. Caldwell lingered in the shadows, his arm in a sling, and Rex sat proud at Mia's side, silent, alert, his eyes scanning every face as if reading intentions. "Operation Echo," Mia began, "was more than a criminal experiment. It was a violation of trust, of safety, and of the very fabric of what we believe schools should be." She paused as murmurs spread. "But thanks to brave witnesses, officers, and one exceptional K9 partner." She looked down at Rex. "We brought the truth to light." Cameras snapped, blinding in flashes. That was the public version. What wasn't shared on camera, what Mia and Dana whispered about behind closed doors, was the strange silence that had fallen over the investigation in the past 48 hours. The federal task force that had promised a full sweep? Gone. The evidence Caldwell had secured? Compromised? Files missing, drives corrupted. Even Lena Harper had been transferred without notice to an undisclosed location. Mia hadn't even received a warrant copy. Back in the precinct, tension hung like smoke. Chief Rowland handed Mia a sealed envelope. "This came for you. No return address." She slit it open carefully. Inside was a single USB drive and a typed note. "You exposed one lab. There are 7. Start in Seattle. Trust the dog." Mia's eyes shot to Rex, who was already standing, ears perked, as if he knew. She plugged the drive into her office laptop. The files began to load, schematics, lab photos, personnel logs, and at the center of them all, a recurring name, Vanguard Institute. Dana leaned over her shoulder. "I've heard of them. Private biotech. Supposed to be clean. But their founders, government ties, black budget contracts, they built predictive behavior software for Homeland. And now they're running child manipulation programs." Mia asked. Dana didn't answer. Rex suddenly barked once. Sharp, then growled low, pacing toward the window. Mia followed his line of sight. Across the street, a black SUV sat idling, windows tinted darker than regulation. A figure sat motionless in the driver's seat. Mia moved quickly, down the stairs, through the precinct doors. By the time she reached the sidewalk, the SUV was already pulling away. Rex took off after it, leash trailing behind him. Mia chased him down the block, her boots slapping pavement. The SUV turned down an alley. When she rounded the corner, it was gone. Rex sniffed along the curb, then stopped at a manhole cover. A faint scent trail made him pause, tail rigid. Mia crouched beside him. "They're using underground access points," she murmured. "Moving between cities, hidden in plain sight." Back at HQ, Caldwell cross-checked the new files. Each lab's designed to mimic a school or a community center. Low visibility, high control. And get this, look who's funding Vanguard now. He turned the monitor. It was a familiar face, a polished woman with steel grey eyes. Lena Harper. "Impossible," Mia whispered. "She's in custody." "Not anymore," Dana said, handing over a document marked "Redacted by Executive Order." Her transfer was authorized at the highest level. She didn't vanish, she was promoted. A long silence followed. Then Caldwell stood. "We have to go public." "No," Mia said, voice calm but firm. "We go deeper." Quietly. Exposing one lab only made them hide better. "We need to be smarter. Strategic." She looked at Rex, who had settled again, his gaze unwavering. "We follow the trail. We take it to the root." That night, in a garage lit by a single hanging bulb, Mia packed a duffel. Weapons, documents, flashlights. Then she slipped Rex's collar on, the one marked with his Metro PD badge. "We're going hunting," she told him. Rex barked once, then nudged the bag toward the door. Dana met them in the driveway, keys in hand. "Seattle?" "Seattle first," Mia said. "Then wherever this rabbit hole goes." She opened the door, and Rex leapt into the back seat, his nose pressed to the window. As the engine turned over and they drove into the night, none of them noticed the drone watching from a rooftop above, nor the message being typed on an encrypted laptop hundreds of miles away. "Call in Protocol Ashfall. They're getting too close." The game had just escalated. The Seattle sky hung heavy with rain as the black SUV rolled up to the rusted gates of what used to be a charter school. The building had long been abandoned, or so it appeared. Ivy snaked up cracked brick walls, windows boarded with rotting plywood. But Rex was already pacing in the back seat, growling low in his chest. "This is it," Mia said, voice tight. "Rex smells them." Dana glanced at the old school name, barely visible above the entryway. Brookpine Academy. Caldwell was in the front passenger seat, flipping through the last page of the Vanguard Institute blueprints they'd decrypted. Sub-basement, 2 levels down, hidden access point through the gymnasium. Rex barked once. No hesitation, just command. Mia nodded and threw the SUV in park. Inside, the place was dead silent. No rats, no creaking floors, just cold air and the thick, acrid scent of ammonia and rubber that made the back of Mia's throat burn. Rex led the way. He darted down the hall, past decayed lockers, toward what used to be the gym doors. Mia forced them open with her shoulder. The floor was warped, half collapsed in the center, but Rex circled the far bleachers and began pawing at a loose tile. When Mia yanked it back, a steel hatch lay beneath. "Underground," Caldwell muttered. "Just like the last one." Dana held up a scanner. "Motion below. 3 signatures. Maybe 4. They dropped in fast. The passageway was narrow, walls concrete and sweating. Surveillance cameras mounted every 10 feet. But power was still live. Vanguard was here, just quiet. Too quiet. As they reached the first basement level, a whir of machinery kicked in. Caldwell turned, gun raised. Left. A door opened, and Lena Harper stepped out, smiling as if she'd been expecting them. "You're late," she said. "We've already packed." Dana shoved forward. You're under arrest." "I doubt that," Lena said coolly. "This lab is covered by a federal protection order. You'll be arrested before I am." Then Rex growled, a sharp, snarling warning that stopped everyone cold, because behind Lena, from the dark room beyond, a thin voice called out, "Officer Mia!" It was Sophie Jenkins, alive but barely. Mia rushed past Lena, pushing through the corridor into a small cell lined with digital monitors and a cot. Sophie sat curled on the floor, eyes wide but lucid. "You came," she whispered. Mia knelt. "We never stopped looking." Lena's voice came from behind. "You don't understand, officer. Sophie is proof. The program works. She anticipates threats, identifies emotional weaknesses, even detects lies. She's not a prisoner. She's the future." Sophie reached out and grabbed Mia's wrist. "Don't believe her. They hurt us. They made us do things to each other." That was enough. Caldwell raised his weapon. "Drop to your knees, Lena. This ends now." "No," Lena snapped, pulling out a small device. "You think you've won, but Vanguard is bigger than me, bigger than this place. You've exposed one lab, and they'll replace it by tomorrow." She pressed the button. Sirens exploded overhead. Self-destruct. Mia scooped up Sophie, yelling, "Run!" Rex barked and bolted ahead, leading them through the maze as explosions rippled through the walls. Cement cracked. Pipes burst. Fire erupted from the hallway, behind. They climbed the ladder back to the hatch seconds before the lower level collapsed in a plume of black smoke. Outside, rain still poured. Caldwell fell to his knees, coughing, gripping his shoulder. Dana radioed for extraction. And Rex? Rex stood at the edge of the lot, staring at the horizon. Tail high, not barking, not moving, just watching. Mia came up beside him, cradling Sophie, who clung to her like a child lost for years. "You found her," she whispered to Rex. He turned and licked Sophie's face. That was all. In the following weeks, Vanguard's files were leaked to the public. Investigations erupted across 7 states. Names were named. Some resigned, some were indicted, some disappeared. Lena Harper vanished before trial. But Sophie spoke up, on national television. She didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She told the world what they did, what she remembered, and what Rex did to save her. The footage went viral. Millions watched. And as the clip ended, Mia looked into the camera and said, "If it weren't for this dog, we might still believe the lie. He didn't just sniff out a room, he sniffed out the truth." Rex stood beside her, head high. Not just a dog, a partner, a protector, a hero. If you believe in justice, in truth, and in heroes who don't wear capes, but walk on 4 legs with unmatched loyalty, then share this story. Subscribe to the German Shepherd channel for more real, raw, and powerful tales of bravery that deserve to be heard. Rex isn't just a dog. He's the reason the missing come home.